promise I would. Okay, let's go to Al Jazeera first.
Yes, thank you. Hey, I've been trying to ask this question for months. I appreciate you taking it. It's a freedom of the press question. Members of the administration, you recently this week have talked about the importance of journalism to democracy. The president also made a point of saying his presidency was different from his predecessor. So why is President Biden keeping the Trump-era charges against Julian Assange? Why is he allowing the prosecution from publishing the truth about human rights abuses in Iraq, Afghanistan, and Guantanamo? And does the president believe the ongoing detention of Assange is reasonable, even moral, given the transparency delivered and the greater good served?
Well, I don't have anything new to say on the on Julian Assange, and I would point you to the Department of Justice on that. I would say, though, that we do think of ourselves, and we are approaching this from an entirely different approach of the last few years as it relates to freedom of the press. And I think the Department of Justice's actions as it relates to the prosecution of journalists, or how we're going to look at or go after records, something that the Attorney General made an announcement about, the President has spoken to, is very clear evidence of exactly that.
See this as a freedom of press issue with respect to Assange?
Again, I have nothing new to speak to on Julian Assange.
This is something that I emailed you about months ago, so there's been time to
I understand.
discuss this.
I understand. I
Is
still
this
don't.
something-
I don't have a new comment from here.
You
Go ahead.
don't want to touch this. I have one more.
Sure,
I've been
go
waiting
ahead.
months.
Go
Okay,
ahead.
Thank you. You know, we've talked about the images that the Al Jazeera footage exposed with respect to the horses along the border, the pain that conjures up for African Americans in this country. The president has condemned this, but you know, the president has also promised African Americans in this country that he had their back. Al Sharpton has said this week, "We're being stabbed in the back, Mr. President. We need you to stop the stabbing from Haiti to Harlem." He's talking about the failure of the police reform bill. What does the president need to do to address this? What does he need to do more for the community? You said this week there's been the engagement with leaders, but does the president need to do more than that, and what should he be doing?
Well, first I would say, since you referenced police reform, the president is absolutely frustrated that we haven't been able to move forward with police reform. He supported the efforts by negotiators on the Democratic side, on the Republican side, to try to find common ground. He also was frustrated that they they weren't able to move forward, despite the fact that there was agreement from even police organizations and others about what the path forward looked like. So he's incredibly frustrated. It requires Congress moving forward in order to have that kind of lasting impact. But the president has also been clear he's going to engage with advocates, engage with members, and also consider options like executive actions, which is something that we did not act on because we wanted to leave space for these negotiations to continue.
African American voters feel recognized, that they are being seen, that they're being heard. I mean, bring it down to the layman level.
You asked me specifically about police reform, so that's why I addressed that specific question. I would say that the president has been an advocate for civil rights changes, for reforms that are needed, for equity across our system for many, many decades, and that is a central tenet of his presidency. And that is evidence in a range of executive orders that he signed early on in his presidency, his advocacy for voting rights, for police reform, and certainly the comments and remarks you heard him give this morning. Go ahead.